Welcome back to No Shortcuts YouTube channel. My name is Anthony Bromell. Today we're going to tackle a topic of forgiveness. You know, one of the things that I'm striving to get this YouTube channel to be one of the places that is still realistic, authentic, and people who still believe in self-autonomy. With so many things, with so much stuff out there being AI based and lack authenticity, the goal is to have this channel to be one of the places that is a safe space for people to come to and get honest and realistic solutions to their problems. We're really entering a time where people don't know what to believe. AI has it so when you do look at videos, you see people, it's real hard to distinguish what's real and what's not. So I ask you, like this video, subscribe to my channel to help promote this channel and help it remain one of the safest spaces on earth for us to heal, have self-autonomy, and learn how to maneuver this space, this construct, this thing we call life. So, excuse me, I want to talk about forgiveness and just look at it from a realistic perspective. So let's look at a definition of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the deliberate choice to let go of negative feelings like resentment and anger towards someone who has harmed you, which empowers you to heal and move forward. It is a personal process that does not require the offender to be involved, to be sorry, or to earn it. Nor does it mean forgetting the offense, excusing the behavior, or necessarily reconciling the relationship. Forgiveness primarily benefits the forgiver by freeing them from corrosive emotions, promoting peace, and allowing for emotional growth and improved mental health. So when you think about forgiveness, forgiveness is a conscious decision. It is an intentional act to release negative emotions. And that is very important because forgiveness is one of the greatest steps towards healing. One of the first steps is taking accountability for your actions. And I may get into that in this video or another video a little bit following. And what I mean by that is seeing your role in every relationship, every situationship, or everything that you're involved in, seeing your role and how you played a role in the way things played themselves out, whether it be positive or negative. But when we talk about forgiveness and you're talking about healing, this is an intentional thing from your perspective. Everything I talk about in this video when it comes to for forgiveness, we're not going to talk about the other person. We're going to deal with this from internally and from your perspective. So it's an intentional release of negative emotions. That's what you're working towards. Getting rid of stuff from your perspective. Dealing with things from the way that you can control things versus relying on others, because you may not never get that from somebody else. But it's more importantly for you to forgive because you're the one going to benefit from the healing mentally, physically, and spiritually. So it's a process of the self. And what I mean by that, it is something you do for your own well-being and peace of mind. It is a release of resentment, letting go of bitterness, anger, and the desire for vengeance. What people don't realize when you hold on to stuff and you can't let things go, you really you do more harm to yourself than the person that you want to get back to. We have this desire for the person that did us wrong to have them feel the way that we feel. And sometimes you may never get that because people don't accept responsibility. They'll run, they'll hide. You may be separated from that person. It could be somebody that passed away and you never see them again, and you don't get the opportunity to do that. And all that bitterness and anger and desire for vengeance, it eats us up from the inside. And this topic isn't about that, and I can get into this in another video, but there's a very clear correlation with individuals having a variety of sickness, from kidney failure, various forms of cancer, and other diseases that actually is linked to grief, holding things in, wanting vengeance, being angry, that evolves inside of us like a cancer when we don't get it out. So when we talk about forgiveness, you are really healing yourself, not only just being able to move on from a physical standpoint, but to really make yourself better and healthier on the inside. Forgiveness is also an act of empowerment. It frees you from the grip of the past offense and the person who harmed you. It's a step towards healing. It helps move past trauma and negative emotions and the things that define you. At the beginning of this video, I mentioned it is very important to see how you are connected. And that's the only way you can actually forgive others, is to forgive yourself. Let me give you an example. If you can see, I don't care if it's a relationship, and just say I had a relationship that went sour and it went real bad. Personally, in order for me to move on, I had to realize my role in that relationship. That in order for that person to be in my life, I had to invite them there. And even though there may be signs from the get-go that I've seen, that you may see in a relationship, a lot of times we overlook those things till they manifest later on and become something bigger. But hindsight is 20/20, and it's always easy to look at things in retrospect. And so when you go back and look at it, you will clearly see that there were things that you overlooked and you allowed them to be. So it is easy when I look at a relationship or something, speaking personally, that went sour, when I understand my role that I play of allowing that relationship to become what it was and being a part of it and making it move further down the line, that I'm just as responsible. So with me looking at it like that, I was able to forgive myself because I can't blame the other person. And when I do blame the other person, I have to blame myself just as much, because no matter how bad that relationship may have went, I helped make it what it was. I decided to help make that relationship and move it forward the way it did. So part of it is my responsibility. And so now I can look at it and say, okay, I learned from that. I learned what I shouldn't do. I understand where my mindset was going through that process, and I forgive myself. And ironically enough, when I forgave myself, it was much easier for me to forgive that person. And I hate them. I may not deal with them. I'm not looking for an apology. I don't need an apology, because once I forgave myself, I have a better understanding of how do I get to that situations. A lot of times emotions can cloud us for us to not see the root cause of how things were established. And so in seeing how I was connected, how I was able to take responsibility and accountability for my own actions and beginning to forgive myself, it helped me to forgive others. And I hope this makes sense. If not, rewind it and replay it again. So the next part of this, when we talk about forgiveness, and I think it's a very important part, is talking about what forgiveness is not. And to me, a lot of times I didn't really like the way that we deal with forgiveness in this world. And a lot of times, we get introduced to forgiveness from a very abusive standpoint, especially through religion, the way it is taught to others, or Jesus forgive. And that's great. Not taking away from anybody's religion. But a lot of times when people talk about forgiveness, they want you to maintain those relationships and allow the abuse and things like that to continue to occur because you forgive somebody. And that's not what forgiveness is. So I want us to really understand what forgiveness is not, since we're dealing with that. So forgiveness, number one, it's not forgetting. You do not have to erase the memory of the offense from your mind. A lot of times people will be like, well, forget that person. I'm over it. But they really don't heal because they haven't forgive. And I think a lot of times too, when we talk about forgiveness, we feel like we're letting somebody off the hook. And that's not what forgiveness is. Remember, we are dealing with this from a personal standpoint. We're dealing with this so you internally don't have to rot with this anger that's not going to benefit you, that looking for vengeance that's not going to benefit you from the inside. We are looking for the release of that information, release of that anger, so you can move on and really be the better person to yourself and for those who you care about. So another thing forgiveness is not about is condoning or excusing. You don't have to agree with or justify the harmful action of the offender. You don't have to. And let me just say this as a sidebar. When I talk about forgiveness, I want you to forgive from the perspective of yourself, where this is not a situation where you've done somebody wrong. That's a whole nother situation. If you've done somebody wrong and you've done something wrong, you can apologize, be the bigger person and move on it. And if you can't apologize, apologize. This is not one of those situations where, I see people sometimes, well, I just want to apologize to myself or forgive myself because I forgot to love me. I'm not talking about something to give yourself an excuse and maintain yourself as a victim. I'm talking about when you have been done wrong by somebody and you're looking for vengeance, and I'm telling you that you need to forgive. So let's go on. Let's move on. So the next part is reconciliation. Forgiveness is not about reconciliation. It does not necessarily mean restoring a relationship or returning to connecting to the same people. That's another thing that people get mixed up when it comes to forgiveness. Forgiving, you don't have to get back in your relationship. This is within yourself. Now, if this causes you, when you move away from that resentment or anger, when you communicate with someone who done you wrong, you are able to move past it, great. But forgiveness does not go hand in hand with reconciliation and trying to restore a relationship. That has nothing to do with it. Because I know a lot of people that's together and don't forgive each other right now. So that's not it. I'm talking about forgiveness from yourself, where you don't harbor any hate tied up in emotions and resentment that's preventing you from benefiting from other parts of your life. And it does not require an apology. Now, you can forgive someone who has not apologized to you or even acknowledged that they're around. A lot of times, in a lot of ways, you can do that. It's just really understanding things from their perspective. And it could just be the fact that they're an idiot. And some people don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they've done you wrong. And they don't have the mental capacity to even understand that they've done you wrong. They may still feel that you've done them wrong. It's okay. You may never get an apology from them. One, because of their ego. Two, they may not feel like they've done nothing wrong. But if they've done you wrong and you know it, and you have the mental capacity and mindset to get over it, forgive them. You don't need an apology. You don't need reconciliation. You don't need that to come from them. But you need it for yourself to have that peace of mind to move on. So one of the last things I want to talk about when it comes to what forgiveness is not is releasing the offender of accountability. And forgiveness does not absolve them for the legal or social consequences. If somebody did something wrong to you, somebody abused you, they need to go through the legal process and let life take care of them the way it's supposed to be taken care of under the law. It does not require, because you forgive them, for them to not deal with the consequences of their actions. And that kind of goes back to the part when we talk about forgiveness and people misunderstanding. And like I said, a lot of times it comes from abusers. And sometimes people get a misunderstanding of when it comes from churches and religion in general, where they'll tell you, oh, this person did this person wrong and it's awful, but you need to forgive them. Yeah, you can forgive them, but that don't absolve them from being ignorant and abusive. No matter what it is that they done, they should see the consequences through, and you should, if they did something illegal to you, they should deal with the consequences of the law. You can forgive them. You can move on. But at the same time, that don't let them be free of what they have done from them being accountable. I want to thank you for watching this video on forgiveness. And like I said, support the channel. This is an authentic channel that's based on accountability and us dealing with life issues and maneuvering and getting through this world together. So until the next time, peace and enjoy your day and take care.